Hey everyone, what's happening? All right, now today I'm going to talk about a subject that I honestly never wanted to share. I never wanted to talk about it. It's my personal, private shit that's, it's just something I never wanted to talk about, but I feel like it's necessary and I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about. And people are, they're still continuously making accusations and coming up with, their own thoughts of why, Sara and I split up. And, it just, they're going on my Instagram, going on their social, going on her Instagram and, it's just so out of hand. I mean, I just wanted to move on with my life. I didn't want to talk about it. For me, it was a devastating situation, and looking back, it's very, very obvious what the situation was, and it's embarrassing for me to admit it, to realize it. And people, family, friends, they all, Rich, you've known this girl for a couple months and you're gonna marry her? Like, what are you thinking? And people, said, hey Rich, do you think this is a possibility? Did you ever? And I'm like, I took offense to it. And what they were talking about is, she's just marrying you for a green card. Like, don't you see that shit? Like, don't you realize that, to get married in a couple months to someone you barely know, who's not a US citizen and has been here trying to get a green card, it's looking back, it's very obvious what the situation was, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as fuck for me to admit what the situation was. And I feel stupid. And, once people planted that seed in my head in the beginning, I did, think, is this, and I would just right away, I didn't want to admit it. I'm like, no, she's, she loves me. I love her. It's a great relationship, and, she was 26 years old, and I'm 45, and, it was so obvious. I can't even believe that I, got married after 3 months. And, I guess I would be a good catch, for that kind of situation, being well off and, I guess being, I would like to think somewhat her type, of guy that she would, like. So I didn't think that for a second. And the first situation was I caught her stealing, and she was putting money into other accounts that, were linked to her family in Iceland, her mom, I don't know who, just other accounts. And, I found this out, and like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, I was giving so much and spending so much money and giving everything I had and, changing my entire life, for this person, and then find out they're stealing from me. I was out of my mind. I mean, I couldn't understand it. It was just unbelievable. And, soon after that, I overheard a conversation of her and her mom talking on the phone. And, they talked a lot, but she would never talk in front of me. And if they did talk in front of me, they talked in, Icelandic, and I didn't understand what they were saying. And that always kind of, it kind of bothered me. And I kind of thought, like, why why is she always talking to Atlantic when, when she's in front of me with her mom? It didn't really make sense. But again, I was a fucking idiot, I guess, looking back. And so I overheard a conversation that she was having with her mom. And, that's when I found out 100% that she was with me for a green card. And that was it. Listening to that conversation, I couldn't even explain the feeling I felt. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe. I just was devastated. And, I had to face the truth at that point. It was like, fuck, like it's right here in front of my fucking eyes, So, I definitely, ended the situation, and confronted her and said, hey, I heard the conversation with your mom, and, you're with me for a green card, like you're just after, that's all this is, everything we've done. I mean, the marriage, it's, I moved you down here, I got this huge house. I mean, it was just, you guys have you probably have an idea, but I spent so much money and just, completely changed my life for this person, and, it was all for nothing. And I was just devastated, and, I just wanted her out, leave, I just can't even look at you, this is just, I'm so fucking, and so she, finally agreed to leave, and it was a process, it was uncomfortable. We were in the house for a little while together until she finally, left, and it was very uncomfortable, and, it was hard for me to even look at her, because I was just, hurt. I just wanted to just, in this situation and try to move on with my life, and the hardest part, I think, was, me having to tell people, because these people, they told me from the beginning, they said, and so now I have to listen to, my close friends and family say, Rich, I told you, what were you thinking? And I'm just like, oh, I don't need to hear this shit. Look, I made a mistake, people do dumb shit, and everyone fucks up, and, fuck, give me a break, I appreciate you tried to help me, you tried to, and I didn't want to believe it. I guess that's what the truth was, is I was having a great time, she's an incredibly beautiful girl, and, for me, it was a wonderful situation, and I wanted to believe it, and, it wasn't what it was, what I thought it was, and I had good intentions, and I hate to say it, but I planned on spending the rest of my life with her. That was what we talked about, and that was what our plan was, and just finding that out was just, and I think I've learned a lot from this situation, so it will help me moving forward in life, that's for sure. I'm not much of a partier, I'm not someone that ever really partied, I've been a bodybuilder, take steroids, you guys know that, when it comes to, muscles and being big, I've taken every drug there is, but as far as recreational drugs, it's not something I've ever really been into. And, it's something that, she was into. And, we talked about it, and guys, like, I'm with this 26-year-old beautiful girl, and I'm down, hey, let's do this. All right, let's do it, and, it wasn't a good situation, we partied a lot, and, it wasn't a lifestyle that I was used to or I'd ever really, done. For me, it was all new, but I have to admit that I was having a incredible time. I was having fun, and but looking back, it was, I learned a lot. Let's put it that way. So, I'm happy to say that I'm no longer married. I got the divorce annulled, and it is final. And the reasons was marrying under false pretenses. That's the reason for the annulment. And what an annulment is, for people who don't know, is it's basically the marriage never existed. So it's not a divorce. It's basically it never existed, and it's over. Legally, we're not married any longer. So there's no real reason for her to have my last name, because we're legally not together anymore. We're not married. But that's her choice. I'm not saying that she has to get rid of my name. It's up to her. I mean, I would assume that she wouldn't want my last name, would be my assumption, but it's up to her. I'm sure she's pretty upset about the situation, because she had a great plan, an incredible plan. I don't really know what her plan was, but I know 100% that it was using me to get a green card. That's no doubt about it. I don't know, how far, this charade was going to go on. I mean, if I hadn't caught her stealing and I hadn't, heard that conversation, this shit could have went on for 10 years, and she could have got alimony from me and, be taken care of for the rest of her life. I'm not saying that was the plan. I don't know what the plan was. All I know is that, she was, her main concern was getting a green card, and, that's not happening, at least not through me. And, we were living a incredible lifestyle, and I did so much for her, spent so much money, and that big house was for us. I mean, we were in a when she moved in with me, I was in a 5,000 square foot, 5-bedroom, 5-bath house, and she didn't want to continue living there because she didn't want to be somewhere where I lived with somebody else. And I was in a relationship before I met her, and I lived with that person in that huge house, and she didn't want to be in that house if I had been there with someone else. So like an idiot, I have to say, looking back, I was like, okay, let's move to another house, and so we went to a better house, and that was, all for us and our marriage, and for us to enjoy life to the fullest. And next thing you know, I'm living in another almost 5,000 square foot house by myself, and that's not fun. Being in that big of a house all by yourself is not fun. And it didn't make the situation any easier. And then everyone telling me I told you so, that didn't help. So anyway, anyone, the annulment is public records, so anyone can go pull it up on the internet and see that, yeah, it's 100%, we are no longer married, legally. And, we're both moving on with our life. And, I hope that, that I wish her well. I mean, what can I say? I'm going to assume that she's going to find someone else to marry, to get that green card. That's my assumption, because I know for a fact that, she does not want to go back to Iceland, that, she's, she's set, and living here. And, I think that's pretty much her only option. So, I can pretty much say that that's probably the situation. And, I hope that maybe the next person she finds, she truly loves and she truly wants to be with and have a relationship with, and, and live happily ever after. I don't wish anything bad to her. because I am a better person now, and I'm much happier now. I'm in a new relationship, and I moved to Florida, and I'm having the time of my life. So for me, I'm better off now than I was when I met her. So I really can't sit here and complain or say poor me, anymore. But at the time, when I first found out, I have to admit I was completely devastated, and it was a hard hit, but you got to roll with the punches and keep moving forward. And this situation, it's crazy because, like, at the right time, not too long after, we had ended the relationship, and we were in the house together for, I want to say probably 3 weeks, before she finally, moved out. And it was difficult, but it's crazy how things happen. Things happen for a reason. But within, I would say, maybe 3 days of her finally leaving, and we had been split up for 3.5 weeks, maybe. I'm just guessing, 3.5 weeks. I ran into my ex, Chanel, at the gym, and she was visiting, and we happened to run into each other. And it's funny because I went to the gym in the morning, and I never go early in the morning. I always go in the afternoon or the evening. And I woke up early, and I decided to go to the gym, and I happened to run into her. And she's, we said hello, and she said, "How you doing?" And I kind of told her, and she's like, "Oh my God, I felt bad." And we became friends. She helped me through the situation. We talked, and and we slowly kind of rekindled our relationship. And I have to say that I'm happy as I can be, and I'm much happier than I was. So I'm good. I'm doing really good, and I don't want anyone to take this wrong, that I'm down in the dumps and I'm sad and, poor me, because honestly, I'm the happiest I've been, and everything's great, and things happen for a reason, they really do. And hopefully we learn, from these reasons. And I learned a lot, and I'm moving forward, and things are fucking great. So anyway, I thought this was something I needed to share, and I hope everyone out there is doing as great as I am. So anyway, guys, I'll talk to you later.